The U.S. has joined the war against Iran. President Donald Trump announced that the U.S. military carried out attacks on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Now let's take a look at the latest developments at this hour. Three nuclear sites in Iran, including the crucial underground uranium enrichment facility at Fordo. Trump said that objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat. Calling the strikes a complete success, Trump claimed that the sites were totally obliterated. Listen in.
Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
Earlier, in a Truth Social post, President Trump said a full payload of bombs was dropped on Fordo. The announcement came just 2 days after he had apparently opened a 2-week window for diplomacy. Trump said that Natanz and Isfahan nuclear facilities were also targeted. Trump added that all planes are safely on their way home. Multiple reports claim that B-2 bombers, which carried the so-called bunker buster bombs, were used in the attack. Trump reportedly told Fox News that U.S. dropped 6 bunker buster bombs in the strikes on Fordo. It also reported that U.S. used 30 Tomahawk missiles on other Iranian nuclear sites. Talking to Reuters, Trump claimed that the strikes were an amazing success. Meanwhile, Iranian media reports have confirmed that part of the Fordo facility, as well as the Isfahan and Natanz nuclear sites, were attacked. However, the state broadcaster IRIB claimed that the sites, along with their enriched uranium stockpiles, were evacuated beforehand. Top Iranian officials claim that Fordo did not suffer any major damage due to American strikes. And while following the strikes, Israel has closed its airspace after the U.S. attack on Iranian facilities. The IDF's Home Front Command has also updated its civilian guidelines, announcing that all schools across the country are being closed. Now, all gatherings have been banned, and only essential businesses have been allowed to operate. Now, a White House official has said that U.S. had given Israel a heads up before conducting these strikes. The official also said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to President Trump after the strikes. And now from Washington, D.C., we are now being joined by Peter Kuznick, professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, Professor.
I'm glad to be with you. I wish it was a happier occasion.
Well, absolutely. It definitely is unfortunate. Well, for weeks there had been anticipation of these U.S. attacks on Iran, and now we have seen them. And Trump says there are many targets left, but if peace doesn't come quickly, we will go to those targets with precision, speed, and skill. Are we looking at a major escalation now?
We don't know. It will depend in large part on what Iran does in response. It's almost certain that Iran will respond and respond strongly, and they've got a lot of capabilities in the region. They can shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which will affect 25% of the world's oil and gas shipments. They can use their proxies or their short-range missiles to attack U.S. bases in Iraq. They can hit U.S. troops in Syria. The Houthis can start firing again. Hezbollah has been diminished, but it is not totally destroyed. There's a lot of things they can do. They can pull out of the non-proliferation treaty. They can throw out the inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. And what they most likely will do, even if there is regime change, is they will most likely develop a covert program to build an atomic bomb. They've been set back, but there's no way to get rid of the knowledge that they've developed about how to do this. And so it might take a little longer, might take a couple extra years, but it becomes that much more likely now that Iran will develop its own atomic bombs.
That's a very well point that you've mentioned, because every expert we've been talking to, and they somehow say that, you know, Iran has all the heads of military Iranian military have been eliminated. They don't see a potential in Iranian military strikes. I mean, Iran did say that they were anticipating such an attack, and they did say they did evacuate these sites, as they inform. If they could be prepared for U.S. attack, it is of course possible, or not, maybe you would be analyzing it better, to for them to have been ready for any kind of retaliation.
They had to have plans already in the works for how they were going to retaliate. This has been so signaled that this was going to happen. We've all been predicting it for days now, that the U.S. is ready. We knew that the U.S. had positioned the aircraft carriers, the fighter jets, the refueling vehicles in the area to get ready for this, sending a third aircraft carrier strike group to the region. They've been helping Israel. Israel was attacking already with F-15s, F-16s, and F-35s supplied by the United States. The U.S. has been shooting down the Iranian missiles, helping Israel do that. So it came as no surprise. Whatever Trump says can never be believed, can never be trusted, because Trump just lies all the time. So the Iranians were prepared for this, but their capabilities to defend against it are somewhat limited. Now we're getting conflicting reports. Trump said that the plants were all completely destroyed, including Fordo. The Iranians are saying that the damage was minimal on all three of them. But the U.S. did use apparently 6 bunker buster bombs, 30,000-pound bombs on Fordo, and 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles on Natanz and Isfahan. So we don't know. We're going to have to wait. We don't know what Iran's going to do in response. We know that Trump is potentially in political trouble. His base is very divided. The American people overwhelmingly were against U.S. getting involved militarily in this fight or bombing Iran. And now it could go from that to turning into another one of the forever wars that Trump promised he was not going to get involved in. And he ran his campaign on being a peace candidate and a peacemaker, and has now been exposed as a total fraud and hypocrite. This is also unconstitutional. It's illegal, and there's a lot of bipartisan opposition to what Trump has done. And so we have already had Congress people say that they're going to begin impeachment proceedings against him, and if that becomes bipartisan, we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but Trump could be in a lot of political trouble for having done.
Exactly. There's a lot of points that you mentioned. I really want to come to all of them one by one. I'm going to start with the issue of Congress that you raised up, which is really important because we have some Congresswomen, Congress members saying this. We just had one of the comments by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who called Trump's actions clear grounds for impeachment. Did Trump not see this happening? And is there actually, a possibility of impeachment?
Possibility, perhaps, but it's a long shot. Trump's base was opposed, the majority were opposed to U.S. doing this. That's among his MAGA supporters. Much of his support from those people was that he promised an isolationist U.S. policy, an America first U.S. foreign policy, that he was not going to get the U.S. involved in these kinds of wars, and he lied to them. And so there's going to be, some of them are going to stick with Trump because they worship him and think he's got some superior wisdom. But a lot of them are appalled by this and were opposed to it and saying so. We've seen them grovel to Trump in the past. So we don't know how strong they're going to be in their convictions if they have the integrity to keep opposing this. And the Democrats have a lot of hawks also who are very strongly tied to Israel, who probably wanted to see the United States do this. So we're seeing a splintering of the traditional party alliances. And that could go anywhere at this point. And I think that the old parties really do need to be broken up, and we need different kinds of alliances.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting how this conflict has actually created, a whole situation in even U.S. politics. We were also talking about different actors in this whole conflict in West Asia. I'd like you to stay with us, and we have some breaking news coming in, and I would like your reaction to that.